Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to First Parish Church of Stowe and Acton, a welcoming and spiritual community. My name is Marcia, Allison. I'm representing the worship committee today, and I'm also a member of the usher team. For those of you who may be visiting for the first time, special welcome. Please let us know you are here by filling out one of the visitor cards in your pews, or you can get one from the usher. And drop it in the plate or hand it to the usher or to Meg, our coordinator in the back there. If you need a large print order of service or hymnal or a listening device, please ask one of the ushers. They'll be happy to get it for you. And you are also welcome to use the listening devices anywhere else on the church property as needed. After the service, you can join us for coffee and conversation in Fellowship Hall, which is down the hall and at the other end of the building, or in a breakout room if you're with us online. I'd like to draw your attention to the order of service. There are other announcements and invite you to check out our webpage for more information. As we begin the service today, we'd like to acknowledge that this service is being held by a community that gathers on the stolen traditional lands of the Massachusetts, Nipmuc, Pawtucket, and Wampanoag people. We pay respect to these indigenous peoples who lost their lives in the colonization of this land and recognize that these indigenous tribes are still today facing violations of sovereignty, territory, and water. We also give thanks for the earth we walk upon, the waters, the life-giving plants, and all Earth's creatures, as well as the winds, sun, moon, and stars. We recognize that this is just a first step in moving toward right relationship with Native peoples and healing of the earth. And just to let everybody know, our regular minister, Reverend Cindy, is away this week, so we're very pleased and honored to have with us Kathryn Denney. You may remember from our driveway choir at the height of the pandemic. So, want it?
Kathryn, if you could join me up here. I'm Chris Hosfeld, your music director. Just to say a little bit about Kathryn. I mean, to reiterate, she was highly involved in the driveway choir setup. The choir has been working hard on Kathryn's music and really enjoying singing songs from the musical Connected. This musical has strong themes of transgender rights and coming out, so we're so delighted that she agreed to come here and share some of that experience with you today, especially this week being National Coming Out Day, the 25th anniversary of the death of Matthew Shepard, and there's a March Against Hate this afternoon in Acton. Kathryn and the Arts Committee will be bringing a full reading of Connected the Musical to FPC in January. And while Kathryn introduces the Introit a little bit, I'd like to invite the choir to join us up here.
Hello, my name is Kathryn Denney, and my pronouns are she and her. I am a cisgender woman, which means that my assigned sex and the gender that I understand myself to be are the same. You are going to hear the choir sing the Act 1 finale from Connected first, and it is set in an ice skating show that a bunch of students are about to try their best and reach the stars and fly like the wind. And there's also a metaphorical transition happening in the lives of two of the characters. One of them is coming out as transgender, and another of them is finding her freedom from an abusive relationship. So you might be able to hear a lot of literal and figurative words working together to tell a lot of stories at the same time.
You've been working hard for many years.
You are not alone. You deserve to be yourself and to be loved just for that. Don't be afraid to look for what you need. Sometimes the rock in your shoe is just a seed. These are some of the themes that I set out to explore through my creative language of music. Today, we plan to share some ideas, thoughts, energy, and messages that may make you think or feel or hunger differently. You might be uncomfortable, but this is a safe space. Open your mind, open your heart, and remember, you are not alone. You deserve to be yourself and to be loved just for that.
Our chalice lighting this morning is titled Living with Pride by Laurie Gorgas Halban. We light our chalice flame for those who lived their lives in closets of shame, for those who furtively visited the bars where nobody knew your name, for the Stonewall riot and the fierce trans women who fought, for the plague, which still takes far too many, too young and too soon. So many gone, so many never lived to see out gay kids singing on TV, out and gay people serving in the military, marriage equality, families formed by intention. We light our chalice flame for all these and for all our siblings of the rainbow, surviving, living life out in the open with pride. Our first hymn, number 188, will also be projected on the screens. So please join us and rise in body and spirit as you're able.
Just to say a little bit about how we'll sing this, we will sing it all together. Stand up. It's all right. I'll be short. And if you're over here on this side, stage your left, raise your hand. You're column 1. If you're right here, the next column over, you're column 2. This column here, you're column 3. And then over here, you're column 4. If you're in the balcony, you can pick which or switch around. It's up to you. We'll sing it all together, and then we'll break into the round.
Join us in the covenant and affirmation. You'll notice the affirmation, the second sung part, has different lyrics today. Those are in your order of service. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Praise everyone. Can everybody hear me okay? Oh, the mic is on. That's probably not helping. Now that the mic is on, can everybody hear me okay? Yes. Wonderful. So before we begin, I'd like to say a couple words about the book I'm reading. I'd just like to let everyone know that if anybody would like to come up and sit down or come up front, that is absolutely an option. No pressure, but it would be awesome to have you guys up here. And just again, thank you so much for your hospitality. It's such a pleasure to be here today. So as an introduction, my name is Thalia Hyland. Yes, the H is silent because names can never be simple. I am a 17-year-old woman of transgender experience. I go to high school in Marlborough, and I have been out as transgender for a few years now. I came out in my sophomore year of high school, and now I'm going off to college as a near young adult woman, which is an incredible experience. Thank you so much, whoever just said that. So today, on the note of talking about trans experiences and kind of empathizing with trans people, we're going to be reading a lovely book called When Aidan Became a Brother. So I think a lot of times in discussions like this, we expect them to be very serious and we expect them to be very heart-wrenching. And that is true because there's a lot of dark aspects to the history of people like me and to what we've had to go through and still have to go through in different parts of the world or even different parts of this country. But oftentimes when looking at the world through the lens of language that makes sense to children or experiences that children might have, it can really connect with all age groups. Children are, if anything I've learned, smarter than adults a lot of the time. And seeing the world through their eyes can be educational for all of us in ways that trying to make language sound fancy and overcomplicated simply never will be. On that note, let's take a look at the book. So this is When Aidan Became a Brother, written by Kyle Lukoff and illustrated by Kaylani Juanita. When Aidan was born, everyone thought he was a girl. His parents gave him a pretty name, his room looked like a girl's room, and he wore clothes that other girls liked wearing. Can everybody see okay? Okay, perfect. I can't see the projector behind me, so I'm gonna hope and trust that things are going okay with that. All different types of faith today, and so y'all can see okay. But as Aidan got bigger, he hated the sound of his name. He felt like his room belonged to someone else, and he always ripped or stained his clothes accidentally, on purpose. Everyone thought he was just a different kind of girl. Some girls had rooms full of science experiments and bug collections. Lots of girls didn't wear dresses. But Aidan didn't feel like any kind of girl. He was really another kind of boy. It was hard to tell his parents what he knew about himself, but it was even harder not to. It took everyone some time to adjust, and they learned a lot from other families with transgender kids like him. On that note, I'd like to pause real quick. I think we've already heard a lot of different vocabulary today, but I think it's important that we define things because we're all at different places with understanding other groups of people. So for clarification, transgender is a word that refers to someone who, even though they might have been assigned a certain gender at birth based on, the biology of their body, they identify with a different gender label, gender marker, and way of interacting with the world. Like me, for example, I was kind of referred to as a boy at birth, and even though I can understand why people might have assumed that, I grew up and I realized that that way of living just didn't fit me. My world opened up when I identified with being a woman, and that just made the world shine and move in ways that it never did before. On that note, let's move forward. Oh, real quick, I never showed the image. We have to appreciate this beautiful artwork. Aidan explored different ways of being a boy. He tried out lots of names until one stuck. They changed his bedroom into a place where he belonged. He also took much better care of his new clothes. Then, one day, Mom and Dad had something to tell him. I'm going to have a baby, Mom announced. A baby, Aidan said. Does that mean I get to be the big brother? Of course, said Dad, ruffling his hair. Aidan thought that being a big brother was an important job for a boy like him. He wanted to make sure this baby would feel understood right away. The baby needed clothes, so Aidan and his mom went shopping. There were so many choices. Would the baby like seahorses or penguins better? Are you having a boy or a girl? Asked a lady. Aidan didn't like when people asked if he was a boy or a girl, and he hoped the baby couldn't hear yet. He was glad when Mom just smiled and said, I'm having a baby. The baby's room needed to be painted, so Aidan and his dad went to the hardware store. Dad chose a gallon of sky blue paint, and Aidan added a puffy cloud white. Are you excited for your new brother or sister? Asked the paint guy. I'm excited to be a big brother, Aidan said. The paint guy looked confused. Aidan could tell that he wanted to ask a different question, and was glad to have his dad there. The big rollers were fun to paint with. This room feels just like being outside, Aidan exclaimed. He had always felt trapped in his bedroom before they fixed it, but his new sibling wouldn't have to feel that way. You're right, said Dad. Let's make some shapes in the clouds. I wish that painting a room was really this fun. Every baby needs a name. Aidan loved getting to choose his own, but he remembered that it had been hard for his parents to let go of the name they gave him. He looked for names that could fit this new person no matter what they grew up to be. Babies need someone to read to them, so Aidan practiced, and practiced, and practiced some more. Dad wanted to teach Aidan how to change diapers. Maybe later, said Aidan. He decided that picking flowers for his mom was far more important. As a florist, that is a priority I 100% support. 2 weeks before the baby's due date, Aidan started to worry. Maybe he should have picked different clothes. The blue walls might be too bright. He wished he could ask the baby which name they liked best. Mom came to tuck him in. Are you feeling okay, sweetie? She asked. Aidan put his hands over where he thought the baby's ears would be. Do you think the baby will be happy with everything? He whispered. I don't want them to feel like I did when I was little. But what if I get everything wrong? What if I don't know how to be a good big brother? Mom hugged him tight. When you were born, we didn't know you were going to be our son. We made some mistakes, but you helped us fix them. And you taught us how important it is to love someone for exactly who they are. This baby is so lucky to have you, and so are we. The next morning, Aidan found the boxes of his old baby pictures. He looked so different back then. It hadn't been easy, but he liked the boy he was growing into. Maybe everything wouldn't be perfect for this baby. Maybe he would have to fix mistakes he didn't even know he was making. And maybe that was okay. Aidan knew how to love someone, and that was the most important part of being a brother. And that's the end. I don't really know what's supposed to happen next, so does anybody, real quick before I walk off, have any questions they'd like to ask? I love explaining things. I am such a talker, for better and for worse. So if anybody wants to ask any clarifying questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Or not is totally fine as well, for clarification. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for having me, y'all.
Well, we honor all of these joys and sorrows that have been shared and those that may remain silent in our hearts. And the meditation today is by Brian Keeley. All life is beautiful. Spirit of life, if you have a lesson for us, it is that all life is beautiful. We are each born into this world who we are, tall or short, with our own color skin, with our own sexual orientation. How can anyone ever tell us we are anything less than beautiful, anything less than whole? We pray that this nation and every nation will remember their duty to protect human life, and particularly the lives of LGBTQ persons fleeing danger and death. We pray for those who are forced from their homelands and their cultures and their religions, not because of some fault or sin, but because of who they are, who are placed in grave danger simply for being the person they were born to be. We pray also for the enlightening of governments here and around the world, who, with casual disregard for life, would deport those refugees back to their unfeeling homelands in near certain death. All human beings are born free, equal in dignity and rights. They are endowed with reason and conscience. May we all act towards one another in affirmation of our common humanity. And at this time, we will gratefully accept your offerings. This week, we share our offering with Out Metro West.
Hi, this is Karen Kinnear. I have a message from Whitney Retalis, Out Metro West's Executive Director. She used to be FPC coordinator. Sorry I cannot be with you all today for what promises to be a moving and enlightening service for Kathryn Denney. I want to thank the FPC Stowe and Acton community for your support of Out Metro West over the years and again this month. The theme of today's service, Connected, resonates deeply with our work at Out Metro West. We are a nonprofit that offers nearly 20 free, absolutely free, social and supportive programs each month for LGBTQ+ youth and young adults from elementary through age 29. Our youth center is in downtown Framingham, and we have satellite programs in several towns across Metro West, including Acton. Connection is at the heart of our program model. At every program, LGBTQ+ youth connect with LGBTQ+ peers, and several LGBTQ+ adults as positive role models, including access to an LGBTQ therapist at all of our regular programs. Our programs are a mix of fun and educational, providing youth with an LGBTQ+ centered space and resources that most do not have access to anywhere else. Our model is built on connection, as we know that this is the single most important protective factor against negative mental and behavioral health outcomes, for which LGBTQ+ youth, trans youth in particular, are at much higher risk than their non-LGBTQ+ peers. Having at least one supportive adult will reduce an LGBTQ+ youth's likelihood of experiencing such outcomes as anxiety and depression. Having an entire support network is an even greater antidote to those negative outcomes. Thank you for supporting a space like Out Metro West and for being a space where LGBTQ+ community members are seen, celebrated, and feel connected. Thank you.
The song that we're going to sing next is close to the end of the second act of Connected, and I decided we needed a moment of gender euphoria when the trans person was feeling fine like the person that he was born to be. So this was my, I actually found this text from a woman named Lou Jones who lives in Mauritius, which is an island off the coast of Africa. I learned that. And she said that I could set it to music, and she's really excited about this song as well. Bursting with Pride.
The reading is an excerpt from Agaric by Raven Adriel. Raven is Kathryn's 13-year-old nibbling. Now, a nibbling is a non-binary word for the child of a sibling. "Good evening," said Kronos, the god in the center. His clothes were all whites and silvers and golds, and his hair was short and naturally white, along with his pupilless eyes. "It's the middle of the night," Aggie snapped back. "It's the only time we can see you," another god shot in. The goddess of matter, Arcadia. Her clothes were flowing and mostly dark browns and greens. "You never visit us," she said, almost poutily. "Well, why would I want to see you?" asked Aggie. I thought you didn't approve of my lifestyle choices. The third elder god, that of space, Nexus, sent Aggie a look of warning. His face was obscured by a large, dark cloak, but his glowing white eyes were visible. Well, Aggie ignored him and continued. If I'm damaging myself by doing this, then how come it's the only way I can feel okay? I'm not rejecting my body. I'm rejecting the one you gave me. You made me something that isn't me, so I'm making myself something that I am. His own words fueled his confidence as he spoke. He had almost never stood up to the elder gods in this way. And the last time he had, they hadn't been happy. Nonetheless, he continued. You tell me I'm the one in the wrong, but you never consider that you're the ones that screwed up in the first place, and I'm the one fixing your mistakes.
I've watched you skate so many times before. The kind of performer fans truly adore. Your passion, your strength, your power, the way you practice hour after hour after hour. Every coach and every team has admired your grace. And when you said you'd quit, what a terrible waste. I never saw anything to look forward to until my heart was open to the future of you. I'd watch you spin, I'd watch you turn, but sometimes my hopes and wishes burn. I've given every ounce of strength. I've gone to such extraordinary lengths to raise a healthy, successful kid who'd be happy whatever she did. She's always been my pride and joy. Does that change now if she's a boy? I've imagined taking you to try on dresses, curling or straightening or braiding all your silken tresses, watching you walk proudly dressed in white, exchanging vows and dancing through the night. I thought I'd figured out what your happiness meant, but now I'm feeling useless, forgotten and spent. I knew that you were breaking my heart, but I didn't see that I was tearing you apart. I've given every ounce of strength. I've gone to such extraordinary lengths to raise a healthy, successful kid who'd be happy whatever you did. You've always been my pride and joy. Does that change now that you're a boy? Watching you skate on the frozen floor, I see exactly what I saw before. Your strength, your grace, your perfectionism, but your power and passion shine through a prism My image of your future is scattered, unclear. But now that we have come back, we belong right here. Whether your skates are black or white, I'll watch you dance on ice every night. I'll watch you spin, I'll watch you turn, knowing that I'm the one with more to learn. You've given every ounce of strength. You've gone to such extraordinary lengths to be what I wanted you to be, while letting your soul break free. You are a healthy, successful kid, and I'm sorry for everything I did to slow you down, stand in your way, not being ready to hear what you say. I may not understand, but I'm reaching out to take your hand, because you'll always be my pride and joy. Now I can let you be my boy. Connected is the musical that I wrote to start a discussion about finding and showing our authentic selves. When I started to put my ideas for a musical into motion, I wanted to explore the effect of social media on our mental health as children and adults. I had been teaching for many decades, and I noticed that many of my former students who found me online were using different names and were presenting as different genders from when I taught them. Meanwhile, my own children had a whole lot of trans, non-binary, and gender-questioning friends. One day, I sat down at a luncheon with my theater group. I was with 3 women with children about the same ages as mine, and I asked them what positive effects social media has had on their children's lives. I discovered that all 3 of them had at least one gender non-conforming child, 2 of them with multiple trans kids. Social media had given their teenagers the language with which to describe what they were feeling, and helped them know that they weren't alone in identifying as non-binary or transgender. It became clear that my contemporary story needed to have a transgender character at its center. As I learned more, I wanted to shine a light on the transgender community rather than the injustices in so many other parts of the world, because so much of what we hear about trans people is false. My transgender friends are some of the bravest, most interesting people I know. Caitlin entered my life during the long, isolating months in early 2020. She told me about her own coming out story 25 years ago, before social media existed. She asked me great questions about my trans character, Gabriel, whom I didn't know very well at the time. I just knew he was trans, and I didn't want to model him after any one person I knew. She asked, what does he like to do? Who are his safe people? What is his least favorite subject in school? Answering these questions without hesitation challenged me to see this character in a multi-dimensional way, so that his gender is far from the most important thing about him. Caitlin suggested that Gabriel could sing a duet in the mirror with an older version of himself, telling him that he's going to turn out just fine. She told me that she would have benefited from the social media encouragement of some helpful experts on Facebook and Instagram, which I've printed in your order of service. Caitlin is a composer herself, and she asked if she could write this duet for my show. Absolutely. Months went by as we went about our COVID isolation lives. When I circulated back with her in July, she turned out to be unable to get to this because of a death in her family, but she encouraged me to follow through with her idea if I wanted to. I had no idea during those few months when Caitlin was struggling that the song Listen to the Calling had fully formed in my brain. An hour after she asked me to write it, the song was down on paper. Hey kid, you're on the perfect track. There's so much inside you that you can unpack. You don't have to pretend to be something you're not. You might find at the end you're in just the right spot. I loved the song, and much to my delight, so did Caitlin. We both felt strongly that actual trans people should always perform the song. So I posted on my Connected Instagram page in search of a trans male soprano to record a song for a new musical. That meant I wanted a transgender boy who has not yet taken testosterone to change his voice or his appearance yet, but who feels in his heart that he is a boy, even if he presents differently to the outside world. In less than 24 hours, I got a message saying, "Hi, my name is Adam, and I'm a trans male soprano." Our first conversations were mostly about the music and how Listen to the Calling could be more in tune, expressive, accurate. The 17-year-old recorded half my song in his literal closet while being homeschooled in Oklahoma by conservative religious parents. A few months later, Adam and I were texting every day. He was blown away to have an adult in his life who accepted him as a boy. We got to know each other quickly and thoroughly, as people can over text, and I soon discovered that I was the first person to whom he had ever said, "My name is Adam, and I'm a trans male." We talked both before and after he had to read an essay to his abusive church elders detailing all of the reasons he loved being a girl. Yeah. I am so glad he had a safe space to process that experience. He also texted me the first time he came out to a friend after his first kiss, when his mother found his chest binder, when his father started exploring various articles on gender and asking tough questions. At least Dad was willing to talk about it, but Mom was stuck on her own feelings. Adam told me that when he heard his mother cry every day, "What will I do if my daughter has to spend eternity burning in hell?" what he actually heard was, "I would rather have a dead daughter than a happy son." You can imagine what that did to his self-image. Because so many of his mother's objections had to do with her Christian upbringing, Adam was very much anti-God when I met him. His concept of God was someone who would judge him harshly for living his best life and who would prefer to have him struggle as an unhappy girl. When I described my God, who loves everyone and supports all of us in our journey toward our most authentic selves, he couldn't imagine it. I assured him that in many parts of the country, there are churches that would welcome him with open arms wherever on his journey he found himself, and who would always call him what he wanted to be called. The first complete read-through of Connected the Musical occurred in November 2020, which, if you remember, was prime Zoom time. I asked friends to play each role online, and then I realized that Adam could play the part of Gabriel. He hung out in the yard of his home in Tulsa, out of earshot of his parents. After that Zoom meeting, Adam told me that being in a meeting with all of my New England friends hit him in a profound way. Every single adult on that call treated him like a man and accepted who he was. He felt more alive than ever. Adam helped me see that the world didn't need to see a musical about a trans kid in an open, loving home whose parents let him guide his own journey. The world needed to see Gabriel's family struggle with some of the issues that made it difficult, and to enjoy some supportive friends and tease out where the problem actually lies. That's the song that I sang a few minutes ago. If you love a person who comes out as trans or gay or with anything else personal that they choose to share, that means they trust you enough for you to hold that information. You can either make it into a connection or you can make it into a problem. Adam also encouraged me to show trans joy more than gender dysphoria, to show that being trans is an improvement to someone's life. It is not a disease, it is an affirmation. I wrote Bursting with Pride, sung a few minutes ago by the wonderful choir, as an example of gender euphoria. That is how people feel when they can live their best lives without hiding any aspect of their humanity. Adam also wanted me to show that when cis people, those of us who are not transgender, make it about us, we are making the choice not to be a trusted, positive part of a trans person's life. Let me say that again. The gender of someone you love is not about you. You can have feelings. You may not always understand. There is a lot of language being used that our generation may not have had access to. And the fact that you want to learn to be more welcoming is the most important thing. Your child might change the name that you chose for them, and that might give you feelings. People who are not trans can feel all sorts of complicated ways about our loved ones, but we cannot let our feelings interfere with our acceptance of our children's destiny, identity, or inner makeup. We should not enter parental relationships with preconceptions or conditions. Being healthy and safe is enough. If you are expecting a neurotypical straight cisgender child or grandchild who will never cause you any stress, think again. We are guides, we are role models, we are teachers of our children, but we cannot mold them into our preferred image. Adam starting at Oklahoma University coincided with the world premiere of Connected 1 year ago. Our plan was to have me make a video of the performance, fly down to Norman, Oklahoma, and show it to him in person while he was in college. As the time approached, I was nervous, I'm not gonna lie. Would there be protests? Would I be attacked for being an ally, as I sometimes am online? Would my story be banned like a book in a library? Just a few weeks before my arrival, a teacher in Norman, Oklahoma was fired because she shared the QR code for a list of banned books with her students, calling them books the state does not want you to read. I knew it was a hot button issue right there, right then. Like many other experiences, my expectations had nothing to do with the reality that greeted me in Oklahoma. First of all, when Adam picked me up at the airport, the two of us laughed, cried, and hugged, so happy to meet in person after 2.5 years of deep conversation. Then, as he drove me through the town to my hotel, I noticed that about 50% of the houses had lawn signs that displayed that very QR code that the teacher had been fired for sharing. 50%. And the place Adam had secured for showing Connected to his college LGBT group was none other than his new church. Indeed, he had found a community of faith that encouraged everyone to show their full, unique beauty. Although he was careful to tell me he didn't find it, it found him. A church with a huge rainbow so welcoming. I had to look at the sign for about a minute before I saw a teeny tiny heart with the Progress Pride flag that's on your lawn. But to him, it was huge. What I hope to convey through writing this musical and sharing it with the world is that trans people have always been in our world, and they will continue to be part of our world, loved so deeply by the mysteries of the universe. Then why did I not know any trans people when I was growing up? Well, in my generation, the question was, which person of the opposite sex will you marry, regardless of how you feel about it, because every family has a mom, a dad, 2.2 children, and a white picket fence. Now, the questions are more like, do I ever want to get married? Who would I like to date? Do I want children? What gender am I? What is gender? When we ask these questions on social media, we see far and wide around the corners of the world that have previously been invisible. No matter what we are going through, we can find someone else who has experience in it, sometimes somewhere else in the world, or maybe even in our own neighborhoods. So what can we do to change the national conversation and emphasize all that we have in common? Politicians and news media love to tell us how we are different and to make us angry with each other. But we can search for common ground when we tell human stories about real people who thrive when they can express themselves authentically. We can make our homes and hearts places where everyone is safe to be who we are. We can call people what they want to be called. We can empower people whose voices have been silenced and learn from the mistakes that have decorated history. We can prove to an English major that they have been using the singular they for their entire life. See what I did there? Someone left their umbrella on my porch. I know you've said it. We can introduce ourselves with our own pronouns to normalize doing so. We can let our young people dictate their own journeys and leave our own wishes and expectations out of the discussion. Every month, I donate to the Transgender Emergency Fund and the Anti-Defamation League. I find ways to support trans individuals financially or with practical support. I encourage everyone to seek therapy, ask ourselves important questions, and to understand ourselves better than we do. When my phone rang the other day, it was Adam, having started testosterone treatments about 2 months ago. His voice had dropped at least an octave. When his singing voice is stronger in about 6 months, he told me he wants to record the tenor part of Listen to the Calling and have me edit it together with his younger soprano voice. Now that he actually knows he turned out all right, imagine what it will feel like for Adam, who is now in just the right spot to tell his younger child self what he so needed to hear. Thank you for choosing to be a part of this conversation. Without a magic wand, we'll create a different world where every soul will get to show their inner flag unfurled. Does that sound like it could be a song?
Our closing hymn number 170, Singing for Our Lives, will be presented with a little change to the lyrics in verse 5. They should appear in the version on screen. So, Chris, thank you. Our closing benediction is from our own Reverend Cindy Landrum. We leave this gathered community, but we don't leave our connections, our concerns, our care for each other. Our service to each other, to the world, and to our faith continues. Until we are together again, friends, be strong, be well, be true, be loving.